Hey guys, so today's video we are going to look at how do we know when the gold trend changes. So currently we are in a roaring uptrend. We've had the gold price rising over 30% this year so far from the start of 2024, and what we basically want to look at now is how will we know when this trend has changed. So we're going to look at a simple way of doing that. So I'm on TradingView and we're going to use a simple indicator, which is the SMA. So a simple moving average. So if you go onto your TradingView, you can go into search and search for a 50 and 150, and it'll start to fill in automatically. So we've got here SMA or EMA. EMA is exponential, SMA is simple. So don't worry about what they mean for now. We're going to go with simple for today. So I've done that, and then I've just customized my colors. So the 50 is the blue line, the 150 is the green line. So 50 is blue, 150 is green, if you didn't catch that. So in order for us to see a trend, what we need is, for an uptrend, we need the blue line to be over or above the green line, and for those lines to be sloping upwards. So we can see here quite clearly, if we look at now, we've got this blue line way above the green line, and it's clearly in an uptrend. So one thing to be wary with this is that the lines need to be sloping up or down depending on the trend. So it needs to be sloping up for an uptrend and down for a downtrend. So there are some examples here I can show you of that. So if I just zoom in a little bit, we can see here that the blue line in November of 23, it crossed above the green line. Okay, so that signals that we are in an uptrend. So what we want to wait for though is to make sure that the lines are sloping up. So if you're not sure, what you can do is zoom in like so, and we see here that it's maybe a bit flat. I would say that here it just went down there. So when we're looking for the reversal, we're looking for it to come up. So up would be somewhere here. If you're not totally sure, you could put on a horizontal line, and that can help you to see. So if we look at the horizontal blue line, we can see there that it flattened, but it wasn't really, going down very clearly. So the thing to remember with indicators is they are lagging. It's not the future price, because the future price hasn't happened yet. It's the current price or the past price that it is showing, rather, the past price. So what we've got here is, I would say that it's more clear here when we start to see this line sloping up, and we've obviously got the blue line above, and we've got this sloping up as well. So I would say that a good buy signal based on this would have been around this area, around the 14th of December 2023. So as you can see, price did then go up, but then it did consolidate a little bit. There's a little bit of sideways action, a little bit of a dip here, and then obviously price continuing. So the thing with indicators, they are another tool in the toolbox, not the only tool, and we don't want to just rely on one. You maybe could test that. As a trader, I just trade on price action. I don't tend to use these moving averages for day trading on gold or on shares or trading news. I'm purely looking at those actions. But for perhaps swing trading in a share or something like gold, I could use those to give me an indication. So we can see that in May this year, so April, May into June, price was basically consolidating. We had this area where price is just going sideways. There's some little ups and downs, but nothing major. And then obviously we've continued to push higher again through July, and obviously we're making higher highs and continuing upwards. So if you notice, if we go back and zoom out a little bit, the lines aren't going to tell you exactly when it happens. So when the trend reverses, they will tell you that it has happened. So you know then that you're not going to get the very top or bottom of the market. But if you're swing trading, you don't need to. You just need to follow the trend and catch some of the move. So just to recap, we're looking for the 50 to be above the 150 and for the lines to be flat or sloping up for an uptrend, and obviously the opposite for a downtrend. So let me just show you on another market. So this is a small company you might have heard of called Amazon. I think they're a Seattle-based bookstore. Anyway, if we look at Amazon, we can see that, again, I've got the same lines drawn on. So we've got the blue line being the 50, the green line being the 150. Also, just I didn't mention earlier, I'm on the daily chart here. So each candle, each of these candlesticks, which is the red and green things you can see, they are representing 1 day of price action. So I always use the daily for this. Now, what we can see here is, let's go back to the top here. So we can see that in 2021, November, we had a price making a high up here. And then since then, price came down, 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 essentially all the way to early 2023. And we can see that if I zoom in here, we have the blue line crossing below the green line, and also both lines sloping downwards. So somewhere here would indicate that we are now in downtrend. So if you were perhaps holding from the start of the uptrend, you might think, okay, right, well, I will sell. It's about there, isn't it? So you would have got out around $160, and then you're essentially waiting for the opposite to happen. So 160, let's just remember that, about 160 USD. So it doesn't matter too much for the market. It's the same whether we do gold or Amazon or PayPal or whatever, pick a company. One thing it doesn't work too great on is a company that's very volatile, where there's a lot of gaps. So there are a few gaps on Amazon, but it's not too bad. Some companies, like the very, very small cap volatile ones, this would be a bit difficult to work with. But for things like gold, obviously there's a lot of volume into gold, and it is a nice way of looking. So we can see here that the blue line, it did come up, the 50, and obviously price came up here. But it didn't didn't cross above the green line while they were both sloping up. You could say it's like kind of crossing. If we zoom in, maybe it is just about crossing, but you can see the green is clearly still sloping down. It never flattened off, and it never sloped up. So we're still in a downtrend. And then what do you know? Price goes lower. Okay, great. So price goes lower, 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 and here we are now down at like $80 in December 2022. Obviously price is very low there. And then what we see is the blue line in January, it starts to slope up. So the thing is though, it does suggest price is trending up, but it isn't a confirmed uptrend because the green line is still above and the green line is still sloping down. So we're waiting. We're ignoring this. It's not our signal yet. We are waiting here till the price crosses over. So we have the blue line crossing the green line. I'll just zoom in so it's easy to see. So here we have the blue line crossing the green line, but the green line is still sloping down. So that isn't our entry there. But then here, if you look, around the 15th of May, we have a clear change in the green line. It is now sloping up. So this is essentially our buy signal, if you like. So whether it's gold, whether it's whatever on here, Amazon, it doesn't matter. This is just a nice clear example. So we sold at $160 because we saw the change in trend, which we wrote up here. So we sold at 160, and now we've seen this this trend change. We've seen the line flatten off, and we're buying back now at 105. So okay, so now we're buying. Let's keep that, and we're buying 105. What have I done there? Let's close that. We sold at 160, we're buying back at 105, okay? So we've bought back at 105, and now we are waiting until there is an indication of a downtrend. So the blue line starts to slope down here, but it doesn't cross below the green line. The green line is still sloping up, and it continues, it continues, it continues. Let's just bring that with us. And then here we get the blue line crossing below the green line, but again, the green line is still sloping up. So we are still not in a downtrend, even though price did make a high here in July, and we haven't yet broken that. We did obviously dip, but we haven't yet broken that. So we're still in an uptrend based on this simple moving average indicator, and therefore we're still just holding. And price is obviously at 187 at the moment. So we bought at 105, we're now up at 187. Obviously, if you were just holding the whole time, if you'd bought your Amazon whenever it was, way back in the past, you'd held it, you'd have gone into, maybe you've gone into the negative, maybe you've gone into the red here, maybe your average cost was even lower, so you still weren't in the red, but you'd seen these, profits that you hadn't realised, and then they've gone again. So this is one thing I use for trading shares, swing trading. I do also use some other things for that as well. But for actual day trading, I don't use these. I don't pay much attention. For day trading, I'm just using candlestick patterns and basic price action. So I'm not using indicators for that, but for my swing trades on shares and things like that, or stocks, if you're in America, then I would use things like that. So let's say we have the green line start to slope down, maybe in December. I'm not making a prediction here, but let's just say this green line, it began to slope down here, and the blue line was below it. Then that would be our indication that time to take profits and just wait for, obviously, Amazon to come down. Whether it will happen, who knows, but this is just one way of looking at the trend. So obviously we're perhaps more interested in gold, and it's the same sort of thing. We're in a clear uptrend now. If I go to the present day's price, we're way up in an uptrend here. So it might be that price comes all the way down to like 2,400 or 2,200 before we get the actual signal, and before these lines converge and cross over and are sloping down to indicate our selling point. But that's one indicator we can use as well. So you might prefer to look at gold based on economic indicators. You might want to put those on the charts and pair them up and see how that compares. Or maybe you don't care, maybe you're just buying and holding gold no matter what, and you anticipate it's going to beat inflation. So anyway, that is how I would look out for a change in trend, not a trending change, but that is what I would look for. I know it's a bit different video to usual. Let me know if you like these. I can do more of them. Something I'm interested in, and obviously make quite a good income from doing trades, doing swing trades on shares, and also doing day trades on gold. But let me know what your thoughts are, and I will talk to you in the comments.